We're delighted to be here because it is a temple to creativity and to all that means. We're proud to be part of a vast and expansive team of storytellers, artists, engineers, musicians, and programmers and actors. The massive and sometimes tiny teams who tirelessly create works of art that we find ourselves getting lost in. Without further ado, I'm proud to take you on this journey to some of the great games coming out on PlayStation 4. Please enjoy the show.
People see me and think they're safer. But it's not really me they're seeing.
Insomniac Games?
Insomniac Games, that's really for legends.
Insomniac? Oh, Insomniac. I love Insomniac.
Is this Spider-Man? Yo! 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 What is that?
Hope for the best.
Whoa!
No, Queens sounds as
Queens.
Sounds as scary as it feels.
Oh my god.
No pressure, right?
Let's go!
Oh my god.
Today is a truly monumentous occasion, everybody. Growing up as a hardcore Spider-Man fan and seeing my favorite comic book character be brought to life in several different forms of media previously with that of the comics, movies, and of course the video games, it was always extremely exciting for me personally to see where these creators would take our hero next. But finally, after gliding through what felt to be mediocre after mediocre experience for Spider-Man in all those forms of media, it was finally time to actually receive something truly extraordinary. Just a little over 3 years ago, Sony decided to fully unveil a brand new AAA fully exclusive Spider-Man game coming to the PlayStation 4. Not only did this incredible announcement fully reassure and immensely hype up almost every single Spider-Man fan out there, but it also meant that our favorite wall crawler was finally going to be receiving the fully AAA video game experience that we've all been waiting for. And after what felt like eons of breaking down and analyzing that trailer, rewatching it over and over again without getting bored of it in the slightest, we finally moved on to the next big fish. The game being officially announced during 2016 was one thing, but then seeing the gameplay be revealed for the very first time was a whole nother experience entirely. After waiting for an entire year, the gameplay delivered on every single thing I was expecting and then some. Given the teams behind this project, I had absolutely no doubt it was going to deliver on almost every front imaginable. And after witnessing what just took place firsthand, I can guarantee that it was an absolute spectacle. The major amount of detail, the massive amounts of scale, and the incredible peak of the cinematic quality that was being showcased during the 2017 demo was something I've never seen before in a Spider-Man game. But of course, once the light show was over, we then had to continue our waiting process throughout the coming months leading up to 2018. And eventually, with each leading month building up the hype levels more and more and more and more to an unthinkable level, we finally ended up receiving the product on launch exactly 1 year ago today. And that, my friends, was just the beginning.
You are everything I wanted to be! You just threw it away! I'll be trapped in this useless body! Peter!
After completing the primary narrative on my initial playthrough, as well as replaying through the entirety of the game more times than I can count, I decided that I came to my absolute definitive conclusion that in my personal opinion, Marvel's Spider-Man is an absolute modern masterpiece within the overall realm of the superhero video game genre. Everything featured within this game relating to its main missions, side activities, as well as the plethora of collectibles and Easter eggs scattered throughout the city gives the game so much depth that it's unfathomable. I've already thoroughly discussed in previous videos how incredibly thought out and precise the traversal and combat systems are within this game, given how well they pertain to Spider-Man as a character. Given that Peter is in his prime during this game's story, as well as him being Spider-Man for a total of 8 years once you start the game, he definitely feels much more experienced compared to any other game that we've played previously. The web swinging itself is pulled off with such grace and finesse, along with mastering all the controls that it features relating to the air tricks, web zips, and more. Whereas for the combat's case, it's both extremely flexible and incredibly intuitive relating to how many methods you can actually take out one enemy with relating to all the web arsenals featured in Spider-Man's gadgets. Applying those gadgets to the basic ground combos as well as the aerial attacks along with the environmental takedowns and finishers and even the suit powers gives an extreme amount of depth to what this combat actually is. And yes, most importantly, even though it may feel a bit cliche to say, it absolutely, most definitely, 110% makes you feel like Spider-Man. But nothing can compare to what I believe to be the cherry on top of this game is actually seeing one of the most virtually realistic interpretations of New York City within a video game. The fact that there are a total of 9 districts to explore within this game, each with their own distinct feeling and vibe to them, makes it that much more incredible to actually fully explore what New York City has to offer when playing through this game. The citizens of Manhattan each have their own individual taste to them, as well as having the city be filled to the brim with Easter eggs and collectibles which expand the overall lore of Marvel's New York. But out of everything that this world has to offer, the main thing which was done incredibly well within this game is having New York City actually feel alive and definitely worth saving. And crazy enough, even after an already absolutely phenomenal game was released on launch with tons of content for players to partake in, it only got bigger and better from there.
Lock your doors and hide the fancy jewelry, because guess who I've just confirmed is back in town? That's right, that feline felon, the Black Cat. Nature abhors a vacuum, and right now, nature has taken the form of Hammerhead, the nefarious Magiadon with a cranium only a mother could love. And if you haven't had enough mayhem on your daily commute, in comes the international mercenary known as Silver Sable, riding along on a giant hovercraft as if traffic isn't bad enough already.
Once September was over, we then only got even more expansion packs related to the game's story, driving out the narrative even further to expand what the universe has in store for the future. With each passing month came a brand new story to dive into, along with adding even more suits to add within Spidey's wardrobe. And once this DLC was all said and done relating to the City That Never Sleeps pack, we finally got a completely finished product which absolutely blew everyone's final expectations out of the water. Through the completion of the base game as well as the 3 separate DLC chapters, we actually received a final game with an absolute total of over 40 suits. This wasn't just a large amount of costumes on a regular scale, but it's also confirmed to be the most amount of alternate suits to ever be featured within a Spider-Man game. And with absolutely no surprise at all, the success only kept growing from there. In only less than an entire year, Spider-Man PS4 has officially become the highest selling superhero game of all time. And to blow your minds even more, it's sold a total of over 13.2 million copies ever since July of this year, even though it's only an exclusive on the PlayStation 4 platform and has only been out for less than a year. Well, less than a year until today, that is. This also officially makes it the fastest and most financially successful PlayStation exclusive to ever been made. And no, this doesn't just directly relate to the PlayStation 4 platform, but the entirety of all the other PlayStation consoles to have been released previously. And due to this colossal and absolutely well-deserved amount of success, Sony Interactive Entertainment then officially just bought Insomniac Games to be featured in their first-party Worldwide Studios lineup. So with the case of this absolutely bountiful partnership between Sony Interactive Entertainment and Insomniac Games in place, it almost certainly reassures the future of the Spider-Man franchise on the PlayStation system. And with the ending of this game's story heavily teasing as to what's to come within this universe, as well as there just recently being a Game of the Year edition, I can say with the utmost confidence that the future of Spider-Man PS4 is going to be that of a bright one.
I'm right where I want to be, right where I should be.
Almost sounds like it's more important than your other job. I've never heard you talk like that before.
But most importantly, the main reason as to why Marvel's Spider-Man's future is so heavily secured within the PlayStation system, beyond that of the incredible gameplay as well as the amount of content that was released after the game launched, is primarily due to the main factor of the absolutely wonderful story that was told within this game. Not only did the base game and the multitude of DLCs set up a plethora of possibilities as to where the narrative can go next, but above all else, it absolutely understands the character of Spider-Man perfectly. The duality between Peter Parker and Spider-Man is easily the most important part of this game's main storyline, while also expanding upon the challenges each of them have to face. And surely with both of their worlds colliding on a massive scale, we were bound to receive some extremely high quality set pieces while also diving deeper into the human side of the narrative. For example, even though I'm definitely head over heels for playing as Spider-Man and kicking some bad guy butt, I absolutely crave for the more human elements of this game's story by playing as Miles Morales, Mary Jane, and especially Peter Parker. Specifically, one of the most standout missions that is featured within this game easily goes to the sequence in where Peter Parker is actually homeless after he's been evicted from his apartment. And given that this is what Marvel thoroughly specializes in, this is just one of the best examples of putting the human within the superhuman. This is a fully AAA Spider-Man game, and yet one of your main objectives within the game's story is to try and recover your belongings after essentially being declared homeless. And if that doesn't just directly embody the pure essence of who Spider-Man is as a character, then I don't know what else will. However, Spider-Man PS4 wouldn't even begin to exist without the insane amount of passion that everyone at Insomniac, Marvel, and PlayStation share for this character. Every single one of these absolutely kind-hearted individuals poured their heart and soul when making this game, and it shows within every single aspect of it and more. And with that passion came inspiration, and through that inspiration came me. Seeing that very first teaser trailer within 2016 inspired me to do what I'm lucky enough to do today. And while I'm simply a voice in the crowd, the development process that Spider-Man PS4 had absolutely changed my life forever and also made my wildest dreams come true.
Shout out to all the true believers, shout out to Spidey Squad. If there's any one character and any one group of fans who deserve the main event position, it's Spider-Man and all of his fans.
Special shout out to the Spidey Squad.
Spidey Squad. Where's the Spidey Squad? Hands up.
They follow the game a lot, so thank you again for your guys' continued support.
Oh, look who it is.
Oh, Evan.
Evan Falarka.
Hashtag
Spidey Squad in the house.
Anytime I've been in a challenging part of production, like I'll, go look at my Twitter feed and read comments from fans, or especially Spidey Squad, and we have such a warm community that's super, super positive, and I get a lot of, a lot of positive energy from that. So for me, it's just so great, and I can't wait for you guys to play the game. Spidey Squad.
So, hell yes to the Spidey Squad.
Yeah!
The Spidey Squad. My one and only fan club. When Jameson's going off on me, it helps to remember they're out there.
When I became a creative director on Spider-Man, I knew this would be like no other game I ever worked on, and the expectations would be amazingly high. This was also Insomniac's first foray into making a licensed game. And once people thought about our previous titles and the quality of those titles, there was going to be a lot of built-in trust that we would get it right. We didn't want to mess with that. And the In Insomniac We Trust was actually something fans created and created a hashtag, which every time I saw would make me sweat. From day one, our goal was to make the best Spider-Man game we've all been waiting for. You wouldn't just hear that from our fans, but also from our own team. We understand what this character means to people in here, and we're making this game with a lot of heart, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to give people the ultimate Spider-Man experience, the game that they've been waiting for. We weren't talking about just making a great Spider-Man game. From day one, we were talking about, could this be a Game of the Year contender? 100%, hell no.
And this effort within itself didn't just come from Insomniac, Marvel, PlayStation, and Spider-Man himself, but it also came from every single one of you. All of you spectacular individuals out there love this character just as much as I do, if not more, and through that passion brought us all together as Spider-Man fans, and especially loving the character even more than what we already did. Spider-Man has reached some amazing achievements within the past, but particularly relating to this game alone, it truly stands out amongst all the rest. To take a quote from myself approximately 1 year ago within my Spider-Man PS4 review, this isn't just one of the greatest Spider-Man games ever made, but rather one of the best superhero games of all time. But to add on to that a bit further, I do want to make something really clear. This isn't just a good game, but rather it's a game about trying to be good. It just goes to show how wildly impactful Spider-Man is to each and every one of us. But above all else, he truly shows us day in and day out what it means to be a hero.
Oh. You are so much like Ben. You have to learn to swallow that Parker pride and accept that you're human, like the rest of us.
Hey, Uncle Ben. Miss you. Doing my best to make you proud.
Saved by the siren.
Talk to you later.
Go.
Love seeing you two together again. You always were my favorites.